Good morning students. I welcome you all for this online class again. Through these online classes, video classes, we have completed two chapters till now. First one is digestion and absorption, and second body fluids and their circulation. And in this class, we are going to start a new chapter which is excretory products and their elimination. Okay, so it is also called as excretory system. And today, from that chapter, we are going to learn some subtopics which are modes of excretion, necessity of excretion, organs which are involved in the excretion, and excretory system. In excretory system, we are going to study the structure of kidney and the structure of nephron, which is the structural and functional unit of the excretory system. Okay, let us start this class. Let's see the necessity of excretion. And why do we actually need to excrete any product? Because excretion is necessary for elimination of nitrogenous waste from the body and to maintain water balance and ionic composition. Why do we need to maintain water balance? Our cells contain water, we all know about it, and between the cells there is extracellular fluid. Right? If the extracellular fluid is increased, the water goes inside of the cell and cells will swell by the process of endosmosis. If the water content is very less in the extracellular fluids, water which is present in the cells comes out by the process called exosmosis. Both the cases are harmful for the body. That's why the proper water balance must be maintained. Why ionic balance? Because movement of water is controlled by the ionic composition of any fluids. That's why the water and ions must be balanced. So for this we need the system called excretory system. We will know how it is balanced in the excretory process. Okay, first of all, let's see what is excretory system and organs which are involved. Next we will learn about the modes of excretion. All the animals are classified into three types according to the mode of excretion or according to the excretory products. Okay, so we have studied that elimination of nitrogenous waste is called excretion. So nitrogen is eliminated in three forms: as ammonia, as urea, and as uric acid. Okay, so the animals which excrete nitrogen in the form of ammonia called as ammonotelic animals. The process is known as ammonotelism. The animals which excrete urea are known as ureotelic animals, and the process is called ureotelism. And the animals which excrete nitrogen in the form of uric acid, they are called uricotelic animals, and the process is known as uricotelism. Here I have mentioned some points, like look at them. Animals cannot eliminate free nitrogen. The metabolism of amino acids and nucleic acids produce ammonia. Amino acids are the end products of the proteins. We have already known about this, and these ammonia is very harmful substance. That's why in some animals ammonia is converted into urea and uric acid for the safe excretion. Look at here, ammonotelism means these are ammonotelic animals. They excrete nitrogenous waste directly in the form of ammonia, and this ammonia is formed by the oxidative deamination of amino acids in the liver. It is highly toxic and readily soluble in water, hence it should be eliminated in the form of a dilute solution. Okay, so to make it dilute we need a lot of water. That's why mostly aquatic animals excrete ammonia. Next, ureotelism, that means excretion of urea. Terrestrial animals, that means land animals, excrete urea for conservation of water, because they live on land. The water availability is very less. So they what they do, whatever the ammonia which is produced in their body, it is converted into urea in the liver. That is what I mentioned here. It is produced by the ornithine cycle in the liver. Liver converts harmful ammonia into harmless urea by the process called ornithine cycle. Okay, you should remember this name. And this urea is eliminated in the form of urine. You can see here urea is 10,000 times less toxic than ammonia, so they need less water to eliminate. Most of terrestrial animals like amphibians and mammals excrete urea. Then what is uricotelism? So whatever the ammonia which is formed, it is converted into uric acid in some animals like reptiles, birds and arthropods. It is converted by the liver in reptiles and birds, and it is converted as uric acid by Malpighian tubules in the arthropods. Uric acid is less toxic than urea and insoluble in water. So they excrete as semi-solid paste, okay, or uric acid pellets. Examples are arthropods, land snails, reptiles and birds. Okay, so this is about the modes of excretion. Now let's learn further. Excretory organs. What is meant by that? The organs which are involved in the excretory system are known as excretory organs, and these organs are different in different animals. So the organs I mentioned here, and I gave the examples also. The first organ is protonephridia, which is very primitive. Okay, these are dead end tubules with cellular units called flame bulbs. Here you are able to see a fasciola hepatica, a platyhelminthes, and at the body wall you can see a small tubular structure which is called protonephridia. Here you can see the small structure of it, and it is enlarged here. It has a nucleus, flame cell, cilia, tubule and tube cell. Okay, so this is the protonephridia. It is present in the platyhelminthes, rotifers, larvae of annelids and mollusca. The next one is metanephridia. These are tubular structures immersed in the coelomic fluid. Right? Example is earthworms. Here you can see the earthworm and tubular structure is there, and these tubular structures, the extents of the tubular structure are called as nephridia. So when we are learning about the earthworm, we will be learning more about it. In the first year we have learned the nephridia which are present in the earthworms. There are 3 types. Next, Malpighian tubules. These are found in the insects mainly. Blind tubular structure floating in the hemolymph opening into digestive tract. Example, insects and the terrestrial arthropods. Here you can see the diagram of an arthropod, isn't it? So here you are able to see this is the gut, and here you are able to see the Malpighian tubules. Malpighian tubules are free floating in the hemolymph, and what do? They will absorb the excretory waste and they will release them inside the gut. Okay, so that is how they do. They are blind tubular structures floating in the hemolymph opening into digestive tract. Next, antennary glands and green glands. These are paired structures located at the base of antenna, opens to exterior, found in the crustaceans. Here I gave an example of it. Here you can see here this is a prawn and there is antenna. Okay, so to this antenna the antennary glands are existing. Next, coxal glands are found in the arachnids. Arachnid means spider. Okay, spiders mostly come under the arachnids, and you can find this kind of structure in this. Next, here you are able to see the coxal glands and antennary glands. Right? And finally, kidneys are found in the human beings, isn't it? And all the mammals. And these are the highly structured. Let us see excretory system and the organs which are involved. Renal artery is a red colored pipe like structure you are able to see. This is renal artery, and renal vein is blue colored pipe like structure. It is a blood vessel which is getting outside, and the renal artery is which supply the blood to the kidney. And kidneys, you are able to see here the bean shaped organs, these are called kidneys, and nephron are existing inside of the kidney. And ureters, you are able to see the pipe like structures which are extending from the renal pelvis, right? These are ureters. And urinary bladder is nothing but the large bladder which store the urine is called as urinary bladder. Let's see the ultra structure of the kidney. Here you are able to see the structure of kidney. It is reddish brown bean shaped organ. You are able to see the diagram beside. It is a retroperitoneal organ. That means retro nothing but false. Peritoneal organ means the organs which are existing in the peritoneal cavity. So kidneys are somehow outside of the peritoneal cavity, hence they are called retroperitoneal organ. Hilum is an inner notch. Here you are able to see in notch అంటే తెలుగులో నొక్కు. సో ఇది లోపలికి నొక్కబడినట్టుగా ఉంది కాబట్టి ఆ నొక్కుని మనం హైలం అని అంటాం. ఇట్ ఈస్ కవర్డ్ బై ఫైబ్రస్ క్యాప్సూల్. సో దీని చుట్టుపక్కల మనకి లేయర్ ఉంటుంది పైవైపు. ఈ లేయర్ని మనం ఏమంటామంటే ఫైబ్రస్ క్యాప్సూల్ అని అంటాం. దీనిపైన మనకు ఒక ఆర్గాన్ కనిపిస్తుంది. ఇట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ as adrenal gland. Now let's see. Basically kidney has two parts. One is the outer part which is called cortex, the outer part, and the second part is inner medulla. So this part is called medulla, and this is called as cortex. And let's see what is present in the medulla. Medulla contain cone shaped masses of tissues called renal pyramid. You can see here, these are the renal pyramids. I will show you by pointing them. You can see these are called as renal pyramids. ఇక్కడ మీకు కనిపిస్తున్నాయి, పిరమిడ్ షేప్లో కనిపిస్తున్నాయి. దే ఆర్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్ renal pyramids. And next, renal pyramids are separated by projections of cortex called column of Bertini. So here you are able to see the divisions between the renal pyramids are called as column of Bertini. ఇక్కడ కనిపిస్తున్నాయి మీకు. So these are called as column of Bertini. Next, each pyramid terminated into renal papillae, and papillae open into calyces which are formed by renal pelvis. Again I am repeating, each pyramid terminated into renal papillae. These are very tiny structures which are located here, and papillae open into calyces and which are formed by renal pelvis. Here the calyces will be there, and they finally open into renal pelvis. And these parts you already know. This is a blue colored structure called renal vein which takes the blood from the kidney, and red colored vessel which is getting inside of it is called renal artery. Okay, let's see the further. Ureter and urinary bladder. These are the ureters. Just now I said about it. Ureters walls are lined by transitional epithelium, and they open into urinary bladder. Transitional epithelium means they have a layer of cells which are unequal. Okay, so you have already learned about the types of epithelium in the first year, so remember them. Next, urinary bladder. It is a storage sac. Here you are able to see, it is a storage sac lined by again transitional epithelium, and it leads to urethra. Okay, this part is called urethra. Next, there are two sphincters at the junction where the urine gets eliminated. So that is internal sphincter and external urethral sphincter. Here there will be internal sphincter here and external sphincter at the urethra. And in which the external sphincter is the control of the brain. In the internal sphincter is not in the control of us, but the external sphincter is under the control of us. Okay, so whenever the bladder is filled with urine around 800 ml, so we will get the urine sensation. Okay, and we control the external sphincter. Next, let's see the structure of nephron. So nephrology is nothing but the study of nephron. Okay, study of nephron is called as nephrology. These are structural and functional units of the kidney. There are some parts in it. You can see here the glomerulus, renal tubule, PCT, DCT, and Henle's loop. So these are the parts. I am going to locate them. Look at it carefully. This is glomerulus, and renal tubule is nothing but the tubular structure which you are able to see right from Bowman's capsule. You are able to see all the tubular structure is called renal tubule. This renal tubule is made of PCT and DCT. Let's see which is PCT. Proximal convoluted tubule, which is at the upper side. You are able to see a coiled tubular structure which is called proximal convoluted tubule, PCT, and DCT is nothing but distal convoluted tubule. Right? It is located at the end of the tubule. Henle's loop is nothing but this U-shaped curve is called Henle's loop. Okay, so these are the basic parts of the nephron, and now we will study deeply. Let's learn. Malpighian corpuscle. It is also called as Malpighian capsule. You are able to see here, this is called Malpighian body, and there are two structures here. First is glomerulus and second Bowman's capsule. The net-like structure which you are able to see is called as glomerulus. Glomerulus is made of afferent and efferent arterioles, and inner walls of Bowman's capsule contain podocytes, which are also called as filtration slits, and there are pores present in the capillaries called as fenestrations. Remember this very carefully. So suppose if this is a glomerulus and these are the blood vessels will have some holes, small pores, and they are called as fenestrations, and Bowman's capsule also have small pores, they are called as filtration slits, through which the actual filtration occurs. Next we will see about the renal tubule. There are two tubules, they can be divided into two: PCT, proximal convoluted tubule, and DCT, which is distal convoluted tubule. PCT is thin and DCT is thick. Okay, they both make up the renal tubule. I am showing the cascade of the urine here. So urine comes to the urinal tube, then it goes to the initial collecting duct. Wait one second. Right, and next is straight collecting duct, then it goes to medullary pyramid and column of Bertini, renal papillae, renal pelvis, ureters, urinary bladder, urethra, and outside. So where are these nephrons are actually located? I am showing it here. So there are millions of neurons. Inside the kidney, and in the next slide we are going to see the exact location where they are located. Let's see. So there are two kinds of nephrons, namely juxtamedullary nephrons and cortical nephrons. The nephrons which are located in the cortex of the kidney are called as cortical nephrons. Okay, and the nephrons which are which extend to the medullary region are called as juxtamedullary nephrons. Malpighian capsule, PCT, DCT lies in cortex, whereas Henle's loop extend to the medullary region, which are called as juxtamedullary nephrons. Here you are able to see the Henle's loop is extended to the medulla region. So this region is called as medulla and the upper region is called cortex. So if the Henle's loop extend to the medullary region, those nephrons are called as juxtamedullary nephrons. And cortical nephrons will not extend to the medullary region, and their Henle's loop is very short and they remain within the cortex. Vasa recta are the blood capillaries that you are able to see, which are surrounding the Henle's loop. In the last picture, we are able to see the network of capillaries here. So these network of capillaries are called as vasa recta. So this is about this excretory system and the structure of kidney and nephron. In the next class, we are going to learn about the excretion, the process of excretion. Okay, thank you.